Alright, YouTube, y'all know what it is. It's your boy Philly, aka Philly Boy One, aka my favorite African, and we got some real discussions and real topics to be discussed today. Because if you've been living under a boulder, you have not heard of this. But any normal human being on social media has heard about the 100 men versus a gorilla argument. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a hard conversation to have because it's like, to me, it's not as easy as the conversation as people make it out to be. Like, some people think it's obviously the gorilla or obviously the 100 men. I'm not sure about that yet. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to watch a couple videos real quick ones, and then I'm going to have a quick discussion about it. Because right here, we see scientists settle the viral debate. So before I even do anything else, I'm going to watch the scientists real quick. 4 minutes. Let's get to it.
No one knew we needed. You might have seen the simulations, the memes by now. One gorilla, 100 men. Who would win in a fight? The internet has a lot to say.
A lot to say.
Gorillas aren't built for long fights. They're like sprinters. They explode for about a minute and then they gas out hard.
Man, I'm taking that gorilla. Man, do people know how big them silverback gorillas are?
Surround it, distract it, get on it, you know what I mean?
How are you going to kill it?
You know what I
haven't
mean?
heard one logical
You're
response
dying.
or explanation because obviously no tools are allowed.
If we have 100 men out there who are willing to die, give me the men.
100 men versus a silverback gorilla. I want to see 100 men versus a critical thought.
She thought she cooked with that.
Okay, here's what's not a critical thought. Let's visualize this for a little bit. We're talking about a 400-pound animal that can grow up to 6 feet tall. According to the experts, the average silverback gorilla weighs somewhere between 5 to 10 times, or is actually 5 to 10 times stronger than us humans. And just like a lot of you are guilty of out there, mostly guys, we have spent way too much time today thinking about all of this, to the point that we actually created a very unofficial Stay Tuned Now poll at work with like 63 to 38% split amongst our team. 63% going to the gorilla.
Damn.
But what do the experts say? Our next guest has over 2 decades of experience studying and researching gorillas. Thank you so much for indulging with us here, Dr. Tara Stoinski.
Bro, this is just so crazy to think about how one viral tweet is leading to a whole generation of people just discussing this shit. We got scientists getting involved. It's on the news. All celebrities talking about it. Like, this is some random brother on Twitter. I forgot what his name is. I don't know what it was, but he's like some random dude, and now he has like 25K followers, I saw. But it's like, it's kind of insane how the internet allows us to just have reach to everybody, bro. It's like, it's a different kind of world we in where somebody can say something random and just people like it, and it goes crazy viral. And then now we got a whole, like, this is like a cultural moment damn near from one tweet.
You know, this is a weird conversation.
I want to hear what Doc got to say, though.
I want to say that this is a dumb conversation, and I'm hoping we can talk about way more pressing matters in a second.
For sure.
But can you just settle this for us real quick? Like, if 100 normal, unarmed guys got into a fight with one gorilla, how would it go?
What you got, Doc?
Well, it's a very interesting question, and it's been super fun to see how much it has engaged people on the internet. I talk about gorillas all day long, so I love that other people are talking about them as well. I don't think there's a definitive answer, but I have to say that I would be on the side of the humans in this case.
What?
Gorillas come to this with, a ton of power, all that upper body strength. You can see them here kind of just
look at the
smashing
simulation
people right and left. They've got incredible draw strength, but I think the sheer number of humans that they would be up against, and the fact that humans could hopefully coordinate their behavior, tag team, take a little bit of a rest, while the gorilla would just be going full steam the whole time, would really put the advantage in for the humans.
I think the only way this works out for human beings is if, I mean, yeah, like the girl said, every single person got to be down to die, right? I forgot who said it exactly, but one of those people in the compilation, literally every single person that's in that pit has to know that there's a good chance they're going to get killed, right? Especially the first 10 people. Lord have mercy, they're going to get mutilated. They're going to be suffering because they're probably not going to die instantaneously. It's going to be one punch to break the ribs, and you're going to be like, you know what I mean? So it's like, you don't even know how it's going to go down. But I feel like the only chance we have is if we're coordinated and we fight dirty. You know what I mean? Somebody got to poke the fucking eyes. Somebody got to yank on the balls. Somebody got to pinch the nipple. Somebody got to jab in the ass. Whatever you got to do to beat this gorilla's ass, we got to do it. But it all comes down to coordination and dedication.
Yeah, I mean, like the fact that we can all communicate and I guess kind of critically think would give the advantage to the humans. And also, like, if I was in that fight and I was one of those guys and I saw somebody get mauled, I would probably run the other way, which would give the advantage to the gorilla there. But jokes aside, like, I don't know. We have fun thinking about this, or guys do for some reason. And yet the saddest part of all this is when you think about man versus gorilla and like what's already gone wrong with gorillas being so endangered and how that's happened historically. Like, if these hypothetical men decided to go to therapy instead of fighting gorillas, what kind of world do you think we might share now with gorillas?
All right, bro. Jesus Christ, man. You sound fun at parties. Like, what the hell's wrong with you, bro? Obviously, there's not going to be a real 100 group of people that fight a gorilla. I don't think so. Like, wait, it's just a funny conversation. This guy, look, I know he's trying to come from a good place, but he just seems like a freaking, I don't even know what term to use for this. Just like a freaking nerd. You know what I mean? Like, bro, I love animals. I love nature. I love everything that's involved in Mother Earth, and I would never want to hurt or harm or kill an animal unless it's purely in the act of self-defense. But like, this is just a fun hypothetical. Do you really think that these 100 men are gonna go out there and fight a gorilla instead of going to therapy? It's not gonna happen. And if it does, I will gladly say I'm sorry for being an asshole. But like, bro, you just sound like a stick in the mud. And Doc over here laughing.
Yeah, that's a really great point. I think the fight that we're talking about here is a little bit misguided because really gorillas are in a fight and they're in a fight for their survival. So they are considered critically endangered in the wild. So the next level after that is extinction in the wild.
Okay, I will be real though. Critically endangered is pretty insane. I did not know they were facing that. I'm gonna have to look up how many gorillas are on this earth because that's actually sad. I can't imagine a world without gorillas. And if we lose gorillas, I'm gonna be very, very upset. Very.
So definitely the fight that they're in is for their survival on the planet. And you know what I'm really hoping is, I love seeing how engaged people are about gorillas. I mean, they've played a big part in our mythology and our movies. People are clearly fascinated by them, which is wonderful. And so taking that fascination and maybe turning it into action for gorillas so that they have a future on the planet, you know, is a great outcome potentially of this conversation.
Dr. Tara Stoinski, thank you so very much for that perspective.
See what I'm saying?
We can get along with our hairy cousins there.
This is really on the news, the NBC.
Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social.
Oh, this is on NBC. That's so crazy to think about. Like, this is some motherfucker on Twitter. But like, yo, 316,000 gorillas, only 5,000 to eat. Oh, wow. That's actually kind of insane. I thought there'd be way more. 300K is not that much, bro. Hold on, y'all. We got to see something else. I want to hear another angle because, you know, the doctor was cool. Stephen A. doing this is hilarious. That's honestly, genuinely hilarious to me. All right, the honest truth. Let's see this one. Let's see this. I want to come to some kind of conclusion.
I think that the gorilla would pull a Winston and just complete. So recently, all of social media has been blowing up with the debate of 1 gorilla versus 100 humans. The funny thing is that everyone seems completely divided onto who would win the fight. One side thinks that the gorilla would pull a Winston and just completely thrash the army of humans with ease, while the other side believes that the sheer numbers would let the humans just beat up the gorilla like it's Naruto. But who is actually correct? Is a gorilla versus 100 people actually a fair fight, or is it actually a stomp? Does the gorilla win, or do the humans? Let's find out. If you like this kind of stuff, make sure to like, subscribe, and let's jump right in. Now, to begin, I think it's important to establish both sides of this fight. For the gorilla, we are assuming that this is essentially the strongest gorilla possible. Of the 4 gorilla species, easily the largest and strongest would be a silverback eastern lowland gorilla. At the absolute largest, gorillas can stand at over 6 feet tall and weigh between 400 and 500 pounds, with the largest ever being about 600 pounds or even beyond. However, this fails to capture how a gorilla's overall proportions drastically exceed that of a normal human, with a wingspan of over 8 feet, drastically more muscle mass, and far less body fat. In comparison to the peak gorilla, the group of humans will be made up of 100 average people. There will be no boxers, nor MMA fighters or athletes, and instead it will just be 100 totally normal people with totally normal physical stats.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, bro. I think the only way we have a chance of winning is if we pick out like prime humans from history. I'm talking about prime Muhammad Ali. Give me Mike Tyson. Give me freaking, I don't know. I can't think of as many people right now, but I'm just saying, like, we need prime deadly human beings to knock this gorilla out the freaking water. Because if you pick some average looking Joe with a beer belly like these business suit motherfuckers on this shot right here, I don't think we have a chance. I'm being real, because most people aren't coordinated and can't even throw a proper punch, and you expect them to kill a gorilla with their bare hands?
With there being an equal number of men and women. Now, technically, average height and weight varies somewhat drastically across the planet, so for this video, we'll be taking the stats from just Americans when possible. This means the 50 men in the group will be on average 5'9" and almost 200 pounds, while the 50 women in the group will be on average 5'4" and 170 pounds.
Wait, we all have a woman in this shit? What?
To be fair, Americans are kinda fat, so ultimately using the statistics of a healthier nation doesn't change these values very much, or the outcome in my opinion. Still, either way, the gorilla is going to be far larger than any single human, exceeding them in height by a couple inches and being casually twice the weight of the average man. Also, just so we're all on the same page, this is what 100 people looks like. It's definitely not a small group, but it's also not a massive crowd by any means. A lot of college lectures have more people than this in them. With that being understood, who wins this?
Okay, if he's gonna do 100 people, which is half men, half women, we're cooked. I'm sorry. Not trying to be disrespectful, sexist, whatever you want to call it, but let's just be real, bro. I don't expect any woman besides maybe Ronda Rousey or some prime UFC fighting woman. Outside of those people, I don't expect any average woman to go fight a silverback gorilla. Like, let's be real here, y'all. I really hope he's not saying that, because that just kills our odds in half.
Determining the true strength of a gorilla is incredibly difficult for multiple reasons. Firstly, gorillas ultimately are not a predatory species, so in comparison to something like a bear, a wolf, or any of the big cats, they rarely, if ever, go out of their way to attack humans. Secondly, unlike for humans that will willingly do experiments to test the limits of human strength, doing the exact same thing is almost impossible for gorillas because they're not just going to do a bench press for a couple of bananas, unfortunately. This forces most, if any, estimations of gorilla strength to be just that, estimations based off of their bodies and the very rare instances of strength that we have seen from them. Thirdly, there is a lot of hearsay and misinformation regarding gorillas, with most online sources claiming completely different stats for what gorillas are actually capable of. Finally, a lot of info about gorillas that does exist is oftentimes really old. The biggest issue, though, is that inconsistent information.
Hell no.
For example, one website says they can lift 1,800 pounds, while another claims they can lift more than twice that at 4,000 pounds. Things get even more wild when these resources put it in terms of humans. Some claim that a gorilla is 8 times stronger than an average man. Another claims that they are 4 to 10 times stronger than a human. Another source claims 12 times, with another claiming that gorillas are
This video in the background is how it would go for the first person, by the way. Just to highlight that. Whoever is number 1 out of 100, they're dealing with this.
Claim that a gorilla is 8 times stronger than an average man. Another claims that they are 4 to 10 times stronger than a human. Another source claims 12 times, with another claiming that gorillas are a whopping 20 times stronger than a human. Clearly, the only consistent thing agreed on here is that gorillas are stronger than humans, but this much variation in number between sources is enough to say that these numbers are completely made up or very unsubstantiated. So let's look to what actual researchers have said about gorillas, or what we have actually seen them do in real life. Consistently, gorillas have been seen uprooting thin banana trees, shattering protective glass, and have broken human arms in brief attacks. Smaller and weaker primates like chimpanzees have shown feats of strength 2 to 3 times stronger than that of a normal human, around 800 to 1,200 pounds. Given that chimps are less than a quarter of the weight of a gorilla, suddenly the 4,000 pound claims look slightly more valid and would approximately make them 8 to 10 times stronger than a human being lifting wise, though strength and weight don't exactly work like that in a 1-to-1 ratio. Clearly. Looking
But I remember one time, I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I swear I heard years ago, like, they have enough force in one punch to literally smash your ribcage to smithereens. Like, they have like 600 pounds of force in their punches. Something like that. I think he might talk about it in this video, but I remember hearing that, and that was like when I was in high school. So even back then, as a young jit, I knew I should never go anywhere near a silverback.
Back to older information, the statements get harder to verify, but could also be potentially more legitimate, as these were real interactions in the wild. We have accounts from 19th century explorer Paul Chalu recounting gorillas snapping and bending metal guns with their bare hands, or even an older account from explorer Andrew Patel that recounts that 10 people were unable to pin a gorilla down. Finally, we have more speculative calculations around things like gorilla bite force and punching strength, which is incredibly difficult to calculate without, having the gorilla punch something something that actually measures the force. Still, even the most lowball calculations put the gorilla's strength at around 881 joules of force, with the highest being 3,660 joules of force. In comparison, humans output only about 74 joules with their punches, which would make the potential difference in punch power anywhere from around 10 to 50 times. I don't think really speed is something we really need to talk about here. It isn't like other power scaling topics where either side is a blitz difference faster than the other or anything like that. Gorillas and humans are simply comparable in overall speed, with the gorilla being a bit faster in bursts of muscular power, though such speeds aren't exactly sustainable. So overall, gorillas are stronger, larger, heavier, and more powerful than multiple humans combined. Either way though, are the humans cooked? Let's get into it. Now, in a 1v1, 2v1, or even 10v1, I think the gorilla could pretty easily take it. From everything we've seen, from historical accounts to estimations, a gorilla may legitimately be around 10 times the strength of average humans, making all of these random articles potentially correct even if they were just yapping. Single strikes and bites from a gorilla is going to be breaking bones of whoever is unlucky enough to be in range. As they tend to do, they can also easily grab, lift, and pull around any human they manage to grab. Furthermore, most attacks from a human are simply not going to legitimately harm a gorilla. The difference in the basic lifting and punching power being so immense that the person punching the gorilla would probably hurt their hands more than the gorilla's body. But as the number of humans increases towards 100, things get worse and worse for the gorilla for multiple reasons. Firstly, fatigue. Gorillas are not used to, nor are they really built for long, drawn-out fights. Most conflicts between gorillas only last a couple minutes at most, which is actually true for most humans as well. But while the gorilla might tear through 20, 30, 40 people, boom, there are still 60 humans the gorilla has to beat in order to win. Secondly, in this fight, strategy and coordination genuinely matter. For this fight to even happen, we kind of need to ignore the concept of fear for both sides. If a gorilla saw a group of 100 humans, they are very likely not going to attack and just run away. On the other side,
that must be crazy, bro. Imagine the POV of that gorilla. I'm sorry, that'd be insane. If you were a gorilla, you just chilling in the nation, you see 100 people pull up on you for no reason. I don't know why that's such a funny idea to me. That's like that'd be such a what the fuck moment. Even the gorilla would be like, nah, bro, I ain't even gonna try it, bro. But obviously in that situation, if they pull up on you, you gotta defend yourself. But this is a hilarious concept to me.
If most people saw a gorilla beating up a dude, they're not going to jump in and help out. They're also running away. But that being said, if both sides legitimately want to beat the other with full conviction and no other options, 100 people can pretty quickly coordinate to absolutely bum rush on the gorilla, who simply would not be able to attack every person at once, even 20 people at once. Which brings up the third thing, weight. For as strong as a gorilla is, especially a potentially tired gorilla is simply not strong enough to hold off the weight of a coordinated group of humans. At the mid-end estimation of 1,800 pounds, even just 20 200-pound humans would be able to pin down a gorilla, with the only claim to the contrary being from a guy born in the 1500s. Would people get hurt and probably be killed in this effort to pin him down? But again, there are 50 dudes all prepared to do this, let alone the 50 women. But pinning isn't enough. The gorilla would need to be defeated, and even without tools, humans should be able to actually hurt gorillas. While human punches are far weaker than the apes, human kicks are overall far stronger. It can range from over 3,000 to over 4,000 joules, which is actually stronger than gorilla punches from a pure energy output standpoint.
Okay, but see, once again though, yeah, maybe a UFC fighter, but I'm telling you, you're not gonna get some average 9-to-5er that works in the freaking office to be able to kick a gorilla with full force. Is gonna actually affect them. I'm just being real with you. A lot of this relies on obviously I know this entire argument is hypothetical, but like even this aspect of the conversation is extremely hypothetical because it's like we are completely relying on coordination. Right? I'm gonna let this finish.
As crazy as that sounds. So while yes, one guy randomly kicking a gorilla would probably do nothing, several dozen people all kicking at a gorilla's head while he's already pinned down would eventually take him out. So yes, 100 humans could beat a gorilla. If gorillas were truly a threat to literally 100 humans at a time, there would be far more stories of gorillas actually, killing humans, while we have stories like this for elephants or bears. So bottom line is this, humans most likely win, but you don't want to be at the front of the crowd when you're staring down a silverback.
Oh, hell no.
If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. As always, thank you to my members, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.
I think he gave a fair assessment because I think a lot of it relies on if they're actually able to coordinate the attack properly. You know? Yeah, see, 100 men, that's what I'm saying. 100 men and women, he's tripping with that. I don't know where he went with that one. That was crazy. But, yeah, I really believe it comes down to that, bro. Because, like, look, my tactic would be, like he said, you got to pin this motherfucker down. And I guess the only hope is just to have 50 or whatever many people just stomp on this man's head as many times as possible to get it out the way. You know? I don't know. It's a very interesting conversation. I pray to God that this doesn't happen because, honestly, humanity never ceases to surprise me. So, I mean, I would not be surprised if somebody actually tried to really do this, but I really, really hope they don't because I don't believe in animal abuse. But in terms of the funny, non-serious conversation, I think I'm probably leaning more towards 100 people beating the gorilla, most likely. But once again, though, I do think that the gorilla has a chance if people are being pussy, if people aren't coordinated, and if people don't do it right. But let me know what y'all think in the comments, though, because this is one of them times where I actually want to see y'all in the comments let me know how you really feel about this argument. Do you think that a gorilla is going to beat 100 people? And mind you, we're not going with his thing. Well, he said 50 men and 50 women, which is actually outlandish. I think anybody that would allow 50 women to go fight a gorilla, they're going to hell because that's insane. But second of all, 100 men versus one gorilla. Let me know what y'all think. Is y'all taking the gorilla or is y'all taking the men? Let me know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. Like I always say, do all the things. I'm going to see y'all soon, family. I love y'all to death.
Shining like that, get so bright like a bee. Ballin' LA and I feel like Kareem. Run up a